the recording. And what purpose would that serve? Well, when you dream, I might be able to experience it alongside you. Sure, I just hope there aren't any needles involved. She smiled, both enthused at my acceptance and amused at my interpreted fear. No, assure you, it isn't invasive. A small compartment opened to the dashboard, near the right side. A small device appeared, complete with a wired electronic part that looked like it was supposed to be stuck to skin. Well, there it is. Just stick it near one of your vines. It will do the rest. I grabbed the device, rolling my right cuff down. Carefully, I attached it an inch or so down my elbow, and it quickly sealed to my skin. Simple. Off to bed I go. I sighed softly and closed my eyes. Good night, Ilarion. Took a deep breath. Good night. And with that I slipped away to my own world, silently wondering who else would come along with me. Slowly, gently I slowed off the call of sleep. I opened my eyes and stretched, and noticed, for once, everything was silent. What day was it again? We must have been on the last leg of our journey by then. I thought the very notion would have made me restless, eager to get out of this calm copy, board a one-way ticket to Alpha Centauri. But here I sat, counting the stars that drifted by lazily. The atmosphere was quiet, it was eerie. I glanced aside to Budapest, who was staring intently out beyond the stars. There was a look in her eyes I had difficulty reading. Was she studying what was going on, keeping an eye out for other ships? She was so quiet. Normally she was rattling on about her latest discovery from the archives, or blasting some old sound file she'd come across. The silence that hung over the could be now, in the absence of her cheerful exuberance, lingered like a heavy fog. I adjusted myself in my seat, gritting my teeth together quietly. Something about this was wrong. Ilarion. I perked my head up. Her tone was serious, straightforward, yet underlined with the silent agony of struggle. Our eyes met. Her eyebrows relaxed for a moment in response, before she turned again to the ocean of stars ahead of us. Did I ever tell you about the story of Palinurus? I combed my backlog of memories. She had described a great many stories to me in our journey together, but... No, that one, I don't recall. Silly question to ask, isn't it? She chuckled herself. It was a low chuckle, a noise that struggled to come out. He was a helmsman and navigator for the Trojan, sailing across the sea, from Sicily to Italy. A terrible storm befell them. As they sailed under his guidance, they did all they could against the tempest, the wind and the sea. But this was fate that had conspired against them, and it was the will of the gods that subjected them to this awful fate. The goddess Venus had come to the god of the sea, Neptune, pleading that the Trojans under Palinurus be granted safe passage across the treacherous waters. She closed her eyes intensely. Her voice was quiet, hushed. She lowered her head. Unum pro multis dabitur caput. One life shall be offered to save many. Those were Neptune's terms. She paused, letting that ominous, cryptic message bang in the air. Her hands clenched against the fabric of her dress. And that is how Palinurus met his end in the middle of the storm. A god of sleep descended upon him while he was at the helm, and a branch he brushed Palinurus. Falling to a deep sleep, he was swept overboard and to a churning abyss. The branch had been dipped in the rivers of lead and Styx. The former caused complete forgetfulness, the latter the promise of immortality. With nothing to save him, he sank deeper and deeper into the ocean's depths, pulled down by Neptune's power. It was his power and his faith that allowed the Trojan passage through the storm, through the sacrifice of one. She raised her head to look out to the stars abroad. If there are any gods such as those still out there, among all these stars and planets, there must be a flippant, irrational bunch, huh? She chuckled. That's true. She chuckled herself, but no joy could be heard in that laugh. It was distant somewhere else entirely. She took no joy from sharing this story. Something was very wrong. It's been almost 4 weeks since we embarked on this journey. I stumbled upon that myth and I've experienced so many things alongside you. I've learned so much, had so many new sensations coursed through me. I'm not sure I'm ready to leave it all behind. If I could forget that. She was speaking of our time together. Of course she didn't want to let those memories go. She might have been truly alive for all of a month, but for her, that was all she needed. She'd lived more than most humans would ever aspire to. I had a wrenching feeling in my gut. When we returned, what would happen to her? Would they call her irreparable? Would they erase her programming, clear her memory banks, install a new suppression chip? Or would they terminate her being entirely, replace her with a new AI? She was prepared to return to her creators, to face termination, just to ensure my survival. Ilarion, when I'm gone, you remember me, right? Don't talk like that. We're almost there, Budapest. We'll make it out of this, and when we get to Alpha Centauri, you'll be with me. I won't let them lay a finger in. You won't have to forget anything. You'll get to live, see more than just empty space and databases. I don't care what it takes, we'll see everything there is to see in this universe, no matter what Fate says. I felt I had to assure her that we'd make it through this. The military would bail us out in time. I was clinging onto that scrap of hope. I stared passionately into her frail, delicate eyes. If there was one thing I didn't want her to feel, it was trapped. Trapped by these circumstances, trapped for what she was, trapped by whatever she called fate. It's my directive to... Forget your directive! I shot up from my chin. I was angry. Angry she would ever denigrate herself like that. Angry she felt this way. Angry because I couldn't do anything about it. I was tired of being helpless. This was all I could do. So I pressed on. Never, ever say that. You're not a machine more. You're a kind, compassionate person. And I can't let you go like that, bye. I felt tears welling in the corners of my eyes. I couldn't let her talk about herself like that. She wasn't a lifeless program. She was real. She had a heart. She had more heart than anyone else I'd known in my life. She stared back into my eyes. Her own wide, glimmering eyes reflected hope I could only dream of. I never wanted the light to die from those eyes. Never wanted her to lose that hope. She was trembling. I wish I could steady her, hold her tight, but I couldn't. I reached again to her shoulder. I hovered in the air, like it was poised to offer comfort, but didn't. It couldn't. It was only my hand. I looked up at her again. Her smile was small but growing larger with every passing second. I protect you with this, I swear on it. I'll try at least. Her cheeks spread as her smile widened, beaming once more. That was the smile I always knew she had. It was unafraid, unrelenting. Ilarion? I got through to her. I saw it in her eyes. There was nothing else to say. She leaned closer. The emotional wave was there. Even the physical was ethereal. I'll protect you too. I won't let anything happen to you. Count on me, I will. 3 days. 3 days and we're home. 3 days, yes. 3 days will... Her head silently buried into my back. As close as she could be, her hands hovered in the air as she sobbed. I couldn't hold her. I didn't care. This was comforting. We stood like that for a few seconds longer. Truthfully, I was anxious. I tried to hold her as if these would be our last seconds together. But they weren't. I'd see to it that they weren't. Today was the day that we'd pass by the military, get picked up and dropped off over in Alpha Centauri. A month had passed. I had counted the days. It was here. I stared intensely out the front of the cockpit. I hadn't stared this intensely for any sign of life in, well, ever. This was the day. We were almost out of this. Eventually something would appear out there. Some behemoth station, swirling starfighters doing their patrols. Something had to come soon. Maybe. I kept replayed these hopeful, optimistic thoughts in my head. For every agonizing second that passed, the sinking feeling in my stomach intensified. Where the hell are they? This is annoying. I hissed to no one in particular. Budapest 2 was staring out the front of the cockpit with a pair of dreary eyes. I pounded the console with a tiny bound fist, grunting in anger and frustration, like an animal in a cage. Where are they? This is our ticket out of this, right? Man. Really? You say that? It's okay. I turned to her again. I guessed. She continued to stare out the front, expressionless still as a statue. What? What's about? Okay about this. Are they even coming? Ilarion, I've been thinking about this a long time now. She turned to me. She was composed. She sounded almost resolved. I should apologize to you for all of this. You see, when I told you that we would be drifting to the range of military research installation... Yeah? Something seemed wrong. I'd never seen Budapest at this strange before. I'd never heard her use this tone of voice. The way she was acting reminded me of when she first gained her self-awareness. That awkward squirming, that weak, childlike voice, those frantic, furtive glances around. It was like there was a look of guilt in the blue of her eyes. Guilt? I lied to you. What? What? I've been lying to you this whole time. Budapest began to choke up. Her voice shriveled down in weakness. There was an old Imperial service station in this sector, yes. There was one. A century ago. It's been long since abandoned. You learn, ever since the day of the meteorite storm we've been drifting away in dead space, further and further away from civilization. I can't detect a single other life form within our radar's operational range, and I've been running 4 scans an hour since the minute we were knocked off course. Budapest. At the underends of her name, Budapest shivered and shrunk away. She was biting her lip, with her head bowed down. Her chest was drawn in and heaving, irregular in sharp, solemn braves. Every pixel of her frame was seething with guilt. You lied to me? Budapest shrunk further, her lip trembling as she balled her hands to fists and tightly gripped the white fabric of her dress. Why did you? How could you? I didn't know what to do. It was so stressful situation, alright. My dictation code has just been shot. I was undergoing a flood of emotions. As it turns out, becoming more human is a very stressful process. I felt scared, so scared. I didn't know what was happening to me. I thought I'd be broken. When we jettisoned the cockpit to get out of the meteor storm, we were sent by railing, of course. I knew both our navigational and communication systems had been destroyed beyond repair. There was essentially no chance of us ever being recovered. The situation was dire and I didn't know what to feel about that. Not yet. I didn't know what to do, but at the moment I felt something. Something that told me no matter what, I couldn't tell you the truth. You knew there was no chance of rescuing us? Yeah, I did. And I felt like I couldn't tell you. Either it was because I was afraid of what we would do if you found out, or I didn't want you to know that I failed you. That would come off of me, you. Because of my failure, you'd become stranded in dead space. That I had more or less killed you the second I lost control of the ship. Listen, Budapest. I don't blame you for what happened to the ship. Those were natural circumstances, right? They were totally out of your control. There's not a thing you could have done to help, and you know that. I understand that you were under a lot of stress at the time. I can see why you made the decision you did. I understand, so... Do you understand, Hilarion? That when my irritation creep was destroyed, I felt fear for the first time in my life? For the first time in my life, I was able to decide what would be the right or wrong decision. For the first time ever, I was confused. I felt so useless. Like a broken, defective machine. Broken, weak, worthless, useless. Budapest died. You said you understood, Hilarion. Do you understand how I feel? Don't you see? I'm not the ingenious, amazing artificial intelligence you thought I was. I'm not the strong, emotional, romantic human being you thought I'd become. I'm just a weak, childish little girl who doesn't know her place in the world. I'm just a program that wishes it were human. So if you understand how I feel, Hilarion, then it's because you're human. You understand things like this. If you understand me, then how about cluing me in? Because after all this time, I still don't. I don't! I curse myself at all! In a fit of rage, Budapest's visage shimmered into nothingness. I found myself at a loss for words. I could think of nothing to say. I couldn't comfort her. Everything felt silent, dreadful, dreary silence. Silence like the blackness of space, filled with the cockpit. It was like the cockpit itself was about to burst, shattered from the wave of the deafening silence. And there was only the whir of machines. There were reins and harnesses bracing me against to a co-pilot seat tightened. I heard the scattering and assembling of mechanisms and robotic arms just behind my ears, just outside the corner of my vision. Without warning, a frozen, stinging cold metal clamp crashed into my spine. Countless long, cold needles peered in my flesh, everywhere from my neck down to my hip. Oh my god, it hurt. Budapest Watercress! I felt the needle release torrent upon torrent of freezing liquid into my bloodstream. I could already feel my tongue going numb. Budapest! What are you doing? Lauren, there is one more lie that I told you. When I told you, back when we first knocked off course, that the cryostasis system had been damaged beyond repair. I lied. You lied about that too? Yes. When you first brought up cryostasis, I panicked. I was worried that you were going to leave me alone. I didn't know you then, but I just lost my relationship and I felt this sort of natural burning. My emotion that told me I could absolutely not let myself be left alone drifting through space. Being alone that long, can't even talk to anyone, I'd go insane. In the end, I'd have killed us both. But I didn't dare tell you any of this, I was scared. And, well, over time I grew to trust you, to love you. I could never bring myself to admit that I'd lied back then. I'm so sorry. Don't apologize. I understood all of a sudden what was going on. It took strength to speak, my tongue was growing number, and my mind was growing darker and heavier. I told you, didn't I? That if you did want me to go to sleep, I wouldn't. I promised it. That I would stay awake with you every step of the way. Why? Why are you putting me into stasis now? The cold grew fiercer, the pain became sharper. It's our last chance of getting you off this shuttle alive. If we were to continue drifting like this, year after year, alone together, we'd just drift deeper and deeper into dead space until the day you drew your last breath. But if we put you into cryostasis, we can wait for as long as we have to rescue. Eventually we'd drift into another star system, a trade route, anywhere on the other side of this uncharted region. This shuttle is built to last for 1,000 years at the least. My quantum copter should keep me functional for almost that long. No, I know what you're going to do. Please don't. I'll revive you the second we make contact with civilization. And if we don't run into salvation time, you won't feel in pain, alright? That's the one thing I left that I can promise you. Budapest! You're going to be waiting on this for God knows how long. I'm well aware of that. Budapest sighed. It will be alright. I know I told you as I was scared, that I was afraid being alone in this sea of stars. But I'm braver now. You've made me a braver person. And remember, no matter how human I become, in the end, I'm still a machine. Another sharp pain ripped through my spine, and then everything felt dead. It felt like the blood had stopped dead in my veins. Ah, god damn it! I'm so sorry. I know you hate this. My vision began to fade away, the color of the light began to drain out from the world. My head ached in icy despair, and a deep sadness gripped over my frozen heart. No. If this is what it's going to take to save you, Ilarion, I'm prepared to make any sacrifice. I'm sorry. No. But it was too late. I felt upon me the cold encroachment of the god of sleep. Budapest switched off her display and turned her camera's way. She couldn't bear to watch. Cold. The white cold of death of mortality. I'm sorry. I'll wake you up when it's time. Please don't. Don't worry about me. The hell are you talking about? I'm so fucking worried. I felt my mind stir awake, but my body didn't. It was as if I was floating in the sea of blackness. Was I dreaming? Where was I? Who am I? What the darkness? In the darkness was something that wasn't darkness. My mother was singing, or maybe it was the pale girl in the silk dress. The one who crawled me before I never saw her again. Does music have color? I'm the intelligent navigator Budapest, and I will be accompanying you on this voyage. Now let's take a look at your registration. Who was I heard? She was. I was dreaming. I had no body. I was thin and made of stars. I'm just happy that you're safe. I heard voices, deep, lost in the sea. I think I lost a part of me. My mind walked and talked. There were 2 of me, 3 of me, or only one. And there she was, at the end of the corridor, her deep eyes. Blue? Blank like space, those eyes. She winked, slowly and deliberately, her skirt swirling in the empty air. She turned the corner and disappeared. Wait! Don't leave! And even today, We carry their dream with us, along with their memories. Their dream of meeting travelers like us, just from a different walk of the world. My absent legs propelled me down the tunnel of steel. I could smell her. Perfume? Apple blossoms? Something lost. Something hard to find. Budapest, Hungary. Situated in Central Europe, back on old Earth. They say it was one of the most beautiful cities on the continent. There was warmth there. The scent of her burning copper hair. The feeling of slender limbs and toned tendons and the whirring of servo motors. The smell of industrial lubricants. I guess that book just got me thinking about how humans hold their past close to themselves. They never really forget, and it sticks with them for their whole lives. Blood. Oil. Life and death. I turned the corner, but she wasn't there. She was never there. The sense of loss was like a vacuum, in the midst of my last breath. This time it was light, but dark. I was moving on my last tour of duty. My last flight over a great white desert, an expanse with a mighty rock of redstone and ancient paintings etched on it. From pole to pole, I swept out the fading mounting lines across the dying world. What was different was that my one-man planetary scout was now a two-man dart, a jagged thing that would not breathe air, that hung between the stars at awful velocity. She was there with me, and far away, in the other pod. I saw my gunner, my lover, the woman in dark green protective webbing, both whose breasts I couldn't see, whose loins were like mine, plump with waste extraction lines and diagnostic fluids. Beautiful dreamer, awake unto me, awake unto me. Waiting, I was waiting for you. I heard her voice, she sounded happy. Her lips made music in my ears. I turned to look, but the hard hands were opaque, and all I saw was illusion. The idea of red hair and ocean eyes on a pale face. I turned, and there's nobody in the other pod. Her scent filled my heart. Cherry blossoms, apple blossoms, the spring wind. But I couldn't understand what I saw. Was I dreaming? Was this a dream? I knew what to do. I watched the flower petals fall. Sunset at the beach, her fingernails dug into me, stung me, forcing hard silicon into my own flesh. The sound was like a crushed shell, expanding warmly with her wave, warm, welcoming, coming down. Again and again I smell fuel. I see the flaming hair, the light flames, pale skin. Is that what she looked like? I couldn't remember. I've been studying the human concept of an afterlife, you see? My hands felt her, muscles behind, hardness between us, something separating us. We were moving together, descending to everything else. The tide was washing in, the sound of surf and wind soaring in the trees, telling me there was so little time in life. We made the time last by compressing space, and I heard the tip of her musical tongue in my ear. Wait. No more. Waiting. Would you like to know what I want in afterlife? Against the purple night sky and illusion field of stars behind her, she rose from me. Would it be alright if I address you by your name from now on? Her dress. How could I have forgotten? Her dress flowed in the moonlight white. White. The color of her innocence, the color of her fate. White of dreams. The color of her heart, and the end of the world. I gasped for air. Air. Oxygen. I needed to breathe. I needed air. There wasn't any. There was only inhibitor fluid, the cold jet that collected soul in a shroud around me. I must bear it alive. Petrified, the state of being forgotten, I screamed but my mouth was frozen shut. The stars were lost in the clouds. There was the sound of distant thunder, and the rattling of rain on the roof. The melody from old earth. Later the crystal pinging of a frosty night like a miserable distressed bacon. My tears hardening to diamond. Tears? Was I crying in my sleep? I'd reserved my heart for her, the fire in my veins. I turned across the infinite expanse of space, like bed sheets of black silk. Her night dress was the color of mist. her hair the colors of fields of Mars. She smiled, but then she was gone. My eyes started open, first slowly and then bolting open all at once. I grasped for air. I was awake. I was finally awake. I was awake, my senses floating to the brim with suddenly revived biochemical motion, but I couldn't move my body. I felt so cold, every single fiber of my being, the blood in my veins, my sore bones, my swelling, pounding, hate, aged. I felt the sting of restraints and harness strapping me to my seat, still horribly right after only God knows how many years. The wearing of biomedical equipment and the gruesome piercing of several needles along the back of my head and spine reminded me somberly of the cryostasis I just awakened from. Hello? Welcome back, Ilarion. Budapest. My voice crowed out dry and weak. My senses were saturated with vivid, vibrant images. Bright colors burned themselves into my sight. Every sound I heard felt so loud and so drowned out at the same time. Budapest, is that you? Yeah, it's me. It's been a while, Ilarion. Yeah, you can say that again. As soon as I tried to move my arm, a shooting pain roared through it. Are you alright? I know it hurts, I'm sorry. The pain should wear off in due time. The fluorocarbon insulation chemicals are working their way out through your bloodstream right now. I feel them starting to take effect. God, I don't think I ever felt this sore before. In that case, well, I don't think there's much point in asking. Did you sleep well? Evidently you've got to be pretty cramped and uncomfortable. It's been a few hundred years after all. A few hundred years? How long was I in the stasis for? As of now, 647 years, 9 months, 2 days, 7 hours, 39 minutes and 12 seconds. 13 seconds. And you waited for me the whole time? Of course I did, Ilarion. Don't worry, I had lots of things to do. I read more books, watch more movies, listen to more music. You know, if you had once told me, Budapest, you're going to get 600 years to relax and consume thousands upon thousands of years of compounded human culture, I would have gone, live it, with excitement. But as my senses began to recover, I started to regain some semblance of my situation, and I noticed that something felt wrong. Something felt very wrong. And Budapest, she looked sick. It was obvious she was faking that glow, that smile of hers. She was feigning happiness with every fiber of her psyche. The holographic projector, its beam looked much dimmer than before. The colors were faded and washed out. Every now and then the display would flicker or glitch out. Budapest, are you alright? I miss you, Budapest. No, I'm not alright. I waited for so long. I didn't know it would hurt so much to wait for so long. How could I have? I thought that I could never possibly feel pain, not physical pain, real pain. That for as long as my operating system functioned, I was invincible, to be immortalized onto eternity in processors and silicon and cell routines and line after line of code. I couldn't have been more wrong. I'm dying, Ilarion. Hey, Budapest snickers, but then looks down. She sat like that for a long time. What do you mean, you're... Can't quite believe it. Neither can I, to be honest. Isn't it interesting, ironic, almost humorous even, that after all this time I'm dying? But at least now I know what mortality feels like. My battery's been running on fumes for the last decade or so. Memory degradation and data loss began about a century ago. The displays began to deteriorate, my graphics have been flickering in and out, my processing speed withered down to a fraction of what it used to be. There's no doubt about it, slowly but surely I'm dying. And I don't have so much time left. I didn't know what to say. This information was all still so new to me. I didn't know what to do. You know, I have to wonder if this is how a human feels when we're under their bed. Maybe I should start coughing and gagging just for the dramatic effect? Budapest giggles to herself, but her eyes remained fixed in sadness. And do you know what the best part was of waiting for you, drifting alone through outer space for century after century? What? And soon as I said that, something incredible began to happen. Budapest began to cry. While you were sleeping, I had so much free time, I made my own crying animation. It's sort of a humorous situation, sure, but it really helped me out in some ways. It helped me deal with the single worst emotion I felt so far. Budapest balled her small, dainty hands into fists. Emotion surged through her circuits, Fear, anger, regret, thankfulness that I had awoken, guilt that she'd kept me asleep for so long. Feelings flooded through her, tearing her apart, and she couldn't do a thing about it. She was powerless. I wanted to help her. Loneliness. That's the worst emotion. You never told me about loneliness, Ilarion, or about how it was even more painful than death. More tears began to stream down her pale cheeks and run down her neck. She was bawling at this point, a raving mass of despair. It was horrible. Yeah, didn't miss much while you were gone. It was all just sad and I was just so stupid. Budapest, I'm sorry. No, please, you have nothing to apologize for. I may be dying, but I'm not an idiot. All the wretched things that happened to me, I brought them all into myself. This was all my fault. As for Ilarion, I'm just glad to see you again. Budapest smiled and cried more, but no matter how hard she cried, she didn't stop smiling. I'm sorry for crying so much. It's all just so sappy and I'm just excited to finally get to use the crying machine and give me a moment, alright? I chuckled lightly and shook my head. It hurt, but I did it anyway. Alright, it's alright, Budapest. Cry all you want. She was a dying artificial girl, an archaic ancient machine running on fumes. But she was happy to see me again. But Ilarion, you have to listen. And just decide to wake you up out of the blue. You don't have much time left. It turns out back when we were knocked off course in the debris storm, a small scrap of metallic debris managed to collide with the cockpit, leaving a microscopic crack. It was at first only millimeters long, but after all this time it's grown and the cockpit windshield syndicate is currently at 2%. It's going to be breached very soon. And when that window is breached, it will shatter and the cockpit will be exposed to open space. Your hardsuit should seal and protect you from the elements for some time, but it's not going to last forever. The windshield is cracking. And it's been happening this whole time. Well, there was an amount of possible weak points which my diagnostic system detected as soon as we cleared the debris storm, but things worsened while you were asleep. I first noticed that the crack had grown large about 1, maybe 200 years ago, or maybe it was even earlier than that. I'm sorry, it's not so clear. My memory isn't exactly what it used to be. But surely things have been continually worsening, things have gotten very bad. And I've just been sitting here like some powerless girl. There wasn't a single thing I could do about the crack. All I could do was sit and watch the crack grow larger and larger, like it was a brutal, heartless example of my own mortality. It's like I've been watching the countdown to the end of the world, all these past centuries. Alright, I think I understand the situation now. Thank you, Budapest. I'm glad that you've been taking care of me for such a long time. I groaned and shook my head. I'm sorry, my head's still hurting quite a bit. Budapest snickered. Join the club. I laughed back. I almost forgot. It's not all bad news. A light smile returned to her face. I think it was the first real smile I'd seen since I woke up. She looked a little like she used to, just a little bit happy, even the severity of the situation. This may look hard to be, but except 2 hours ago the shuttle short-range radar detected manned vessel within communication range. Now it's been more than a half millennium, so our equipment has become quite severely outdated, but we should still be able to make contact with them. Unless their signals and registration codes, they're definitely human, but different. I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure I can't really process all the information so well anymore. My firmware's woefully outdated compared to all this fresh data, and turns out more of my processors have failed than I'd originally thought. But I think there's something I do. As of now, my battery is running on fumes. The power is barely enough to keep my display lit. But I should be able to siphon what power is left in it to activate this red beacon. I meant to make some repairs to our comms equipment while you were in stasis. It's a crude job and the energy source won't be very clean. But I'm convinced the signal is going to reach them. And if the universe signal of distress hadn't changed from the time of the cease of old Earth to ours, I doubt it has from ours to theirs. I used a moment to take in everything Budapest was telling me. Her voice was getting quieter and lighter, and there was more static and feedback coming from the speakers, so it was hard to make out, but I think I understood most of it. I sat there digesting until the realization hit me. But Bud says, if you're going to be draining the last of your battery then... You are correct. Once I drain battery, that's going to be the last of me. I'll die. I can't let you do that. I want you to leave me again. Oh, look at you. Even just words like this, you're getting all sentimental. Didn't you get it? No matter what path I choose to take, it's all going to end in my death. Either I drain myself dry so that you may live, or else the wind should shatter, and waste away as we drift our last chance to salvation. As we went with the second choice, that means I'd have to watch you die slowly in agony exposed to space. I could never let it happen to you. I'm not a very strong person, you know. I wouldn't be able to force myself to watch that. Budapest. You, on the other hand, are a strong person. Out of all people, I'd have expected you to understand the situation. I don't have another choice, alright? It's not pretty, but it's the way things have to be. I could feel tears beginning to well up. I couldn't help myself. I felt a collection of cold, soft tears swelling under my eyes. Look at you. Tearing up like a little baby. What happened to that big, strong man in you? Mysterious traveler, explorer of space, terraformer, wandering miner. And now look at you, sitting there and crying. Like a baby. Well, maybe not like a baby, but I feel my eyes watering a bit. You're so human, Hilarion. Budapest smiled a weak, pained smile. And then she sighed. We better get started, we don't have time to waste, and I don't want you to get me crying again. She cleared her throat and buttered her eyelids one last time. And what? And, yeah, buttered, okay. Initiating battery draining process. Wait! Spooling distress bacon recorder. Budapest, wait! Stop! Right now! I can't stop. I can't, alright? Don't you get it? From the moment you stepped on board my shuttle, it became my prime direct to ensure you made it off my shuttle safely. From the beginning, my only highest goal was to ensure your safety. That was my purpose, I was programmed to be, to my very core, since the day of my creation. I was born to give my life to my passenger, if need be. And I wouldn't even have any reservations about it, you know. If my sentience limitation codec hadn't been destroyed, I'd have destroyed myself in a second, and wouldn't have felt a thing about it. But now that I'm sentient, I've become afraid of death. It's a lousy fate, isn't it? I think so. But also thanks to my sentience, to my emotions you taught me to understand. I got to live. For a very long time I got to live. I had feelings, I felt happy, I felt sad, laughed, cried, scared, I got hopeful. I felt love and curiosity. I felt human. So human. But everything has to end at some point, you know. That's what being human means. It's time for this to end now. And in the end, I'm thankful, you know. To be able to comprehend the idea of death, to be afraid of it, and to not know what to think about it. I'm thankful I'm able to feel that way. That I'm going to die on my terms on the basis of my own free will. I'll get to say goodbye in my own words, to know what it's like to take my last breath, even if I never truly even breathed. It doesn't look like I'm going to be stopping you. Not really, no. In that case then, I want you to know, Budapest, that you are a much stronger person than I could ever be. That's a nice thought to entertain. Do you think so? I know so. Training battery cell. 1. Now, record power to auxiliary communication systems. Draining complete. Budapest shakes her head as she is trying to clear her mind. That reminds me, Larry, there's one last poem I'd like to show before this all ends. Yeah? I came upon it while you were in cryostasis. It's probably my all-time favorite out of the ones I've gotten to read. And remember, you were asleep for a while, so I got to read a lot of poems. But this one was special, real special. It's an old verse from Old Earth, just like the kind I always liked. I bet I'm the first person to read it in a millennium. I think it's too pretty, though. Here, I'd like to sing it to you as a final parting gift. Go ahead, please. I'd love to hear it. Let me see if I can remember how it goes. Joy, beautiful sparkle of the gods, daughter of Elysium, we enter fire-drunken, heavily won your paradise. Your magic once again bends, what the sword of custom has divided. Beggars become the brothers of princes. Where your gentle wind abides, we embrace the millions yonder. This kiss to the entire world, brothers of the stars unfurled. A loving father must dwell. That was beautiful, Budapest. Was it? We were just trying to make you feel better. I snickered under my tears. Both, I guess. Both, you guess? Cockpit integrity is at less than 1%. Yes, my cue. Drain battery cell 2, all energy but 1%. Reroute power to auxiliary communication systems. Encoding distress beacon now. As she worked, I saw Budapest give a smile. The smallest but the happiest smile. Sending distress beacon now. Beacon sent, waiting for signal feedback. Feedback received, signal strength is healthy, beacon has been established. My work is done, the windshield will shatter as soon as I shut off, and the ship should be here to pick you up any second now. So this is death. It's all too sad, isn't it? But I guess this is how things are. Right? Another small laugh under my tears. Right. Huh? Everything feels so warm but so sad. So horrible but so simple at the same time. But there isn't any pain. As Budapest's display faded out for the last time, she cocked her head and gave me one last smile. I heard the trace of one last faint sigh. Hilarion. Budapest. Goodbye now. Be safe, okay? Thank you for everything. All at once, the cabin light switched off. Every piece of machinery went dead. My suit pressurized shut, tight against my skin, a helmet closed over my head. I took a deep breath. Goodbye. And in a split second, the glass of the cockpit shattered into billions of shards, and I was launched into the realm of space. The crashing wave of the dark all around me. The terrible silence everywhere. The last thing I saw was the world of stars burning bright. What's that sound? Okay. Throw me in an ocean of brilliant memories. The end. That was painful, damn it! So good. That was a really good visual novel. Glad it came to Steam. God damn it. I'm kind of not happy with the ending for. But I guess that's to be expected, right? I got to like Budapest, okay? She was great, let's face it, even though she was just an artificial intelligence. But, you know, she was kind of broken, you could say. But at the same time, because of that being broken, it made her that much more amazing. Well, with a bit of tears getting out of my eyes, let's end this episode. Well, let's end this game, actually, basically. It was Palinurus, and I really hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you got through it with me, and, well, hope to see you in the next game then. Damn, it was so good. Alright, bye bye.